thank you, and that's a warm introduction and from an enthusiastic chairman, and that's what we need right now, enthusiastic party chairman and enthusiastic RAC members. And I do remember well being a county chairman for 4 years, and I know how hard it takes to work to go do the phone bank and to do all the things you do in precinct walking and make sure that the absentee ballots are chased and all the other things that go on. And so we really need you as precinct committee men and committee women, and I'm honored about being here tonight. I also have my county chairman, and I'm real proud of her, though you've got several county commissioners here tonight, and I'm proud of all of you. And I have a special spot in my heart for Donna Hayes, who's here. Thank you, Donna, for being my chairman of this establishment. I don't see them all here tonight. You've got a great legislative delegation that I've been working with, and of course I admire Vern Buchanan. I want to talk to you about two things quickly from the Attorney General's office, and then I want to talk to you about why I'm running for governor. The two things really do tie into this, but they are official. First of all, many of you may be unaware, maybe all of you are aware, I don't know, but a couple of weeks ago, I joined the state of Michigan and several other states in filing a brief to defend the constitutionality of Arizona's immigration law. And contrary to what one of my opponents has been saying out there, I do favor Arizona's immigration law. I strongly support Arizona's immigration law. The reason I raise this with you is because it has a key component, the same rationale that's involved in another lawsuit I have on health care, and I want to explain that. The Founding Fathers, when they created our Constitution that Jeff Atwater was referring to a while ago, gave the federal government certain enumerated powers. And they listed them. And these are it. That's all that they gave them. And everything else was left to the states. Well, you know, I'm not talking about the 10th Amendment now. I'm just talking about the powers. That's the heart of both of these lawsuits. That's the heart of our defense of the Arizona immigration law, because the fact is that the police powers were never given to the federal government. The police powers to enforce the laws of this country were always reserved to the states. Now that doesn't mean that the federal government couldn't do something to enforce its laws, but the general police powers are left to the states. So what President Obama is trying to say is saying, I'm going to preempt Arizona's law. It's saying that Arizona is not going to be allowed, if it wants to enforce the federal law. Well, guess what? It's the belief of us states, and me in particular, but all of us who joined in this lawsuit defense, that the states, police of all the states, have the right to enforce both state and federal law. We have that right because it was never given. And then when you look at this health care bill, this giant bill, I got a lot of problems with that. We could be here all night talking about it. I can't do that. But I will tell you, I'm proud of the fact that I was joined now by 19 other states, their attorneys generals and their governors, and along with the National Federation of Independent Business, we are the plaintiffs. We have sued Obama and company to have the health care bill become under the Constitution. And it goes back to the same principles. There were just a certain enumerated powers laid out and given to the federal government. Well, I don't see anywhere in the Constitution where it says that when you're sitting at home in front of your TV set, or for that matter, out here tonight in this political gathering, you're not doing anything but enjoying free speech here. And they come along and say that if you don't buy a product, in this case a health care policy, you're going to be penalized for that. They're now saying it's a tax. You notice Obama's admitting or saying it's a tax? But he said it wasn't at the beginning. Now it's convenient to argue that. It's a penalty. However you look at it, I don't think it's really a tax in the true sense. But nonetheless, whatever it is, there's nothing, either a tax or a penalty, in the United States, the Constitution, that gives the Congress the power to tell you have to pay a penalty, you have to buy a product or pay a penalty. Nothing at all. And that's the individual mandate. That's what's so wrong. This issue of the constitutionality of that legislation is going to be, it is the most significant case, and when the Supreme Court gets it, will be the most significant decision in my lifetime over the decision between the powers of the federal government to regulate our lives and not, and the separation between the state's powers and the federal power. It's going to be the single most significant decision. Now, I won't be your Attorney General when that comes down, but it's going to go there. It's going to go there. And this case has another component to it that I'm going to come to right now. 27% of Florida's government budget every year of our appropriated money goes to Medicaid. Now, I don't know why we made the deal a few years ago when they did, before my time there, but the states all agreed in various forms that we would pay a certain portion of Medicaid benefits to administer a federal program. Medicare, Medicaid for the poor. Well, guess what? We didn't agree as a state to the great big expansion they put in this bill. They're greatly expanding eligibility. There are going to be millions more people on the roll. There are going to be billions of dollars of more obligation for Florida alone created by this bill. We didn't say yes to that. We didn't say yes to the greater expansions that are in this bill in other ways that affect our state. And so we believe this is the greatest, the states involved in this, the greatest commandeering of state assets in the history of the United States, in violation of the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution that guarantees the sovereignty of the states. And we've got Supreme Court precedent to argue that case, and we're going to win on that grounds too. And you know what? It's going to be a 5-4. It's going to be a 5-4 decision we get. We're going to have a motion to dismiss heard in September. It's going on. I hope a hurried up appeal to the Supreme Court, though it might get detoured up to the 11th Circuit. It may take a couple of 3 years to decide this. But the good news at the end of the day, is this. That great big bill that has lots of other problems in it, There's no severability clause, and for lawyers, you know what that is. For those of you who aren't, it's very simple. It means that if we get the Supreme Court to declare any part of this bill, any one of our arguments, declare any part unconstitutional, the entire bill, the entire law goes away, and we start all over again. Now, why do I want to be your governor? Ingrid and I, as Kathy said, have been married quite a while. She didn't say the exact number of years, I don't think, 38. We do have 3 sons. We have 2 grandsons. We have a 3rd on the way. This is going to be a little girl this time, and we're kind of excited about that. This election is about our children and our grandchildren and your grandchildren and making Florida a better place for them. That's why I'm running. That's what I believe. And I think we're at a tremendous crossroads in our state right now. We are a state that's the 4th largest in the union. We have double-digit unemployment. We have the worst economic condition in our state since the Great Depression. Now, we're not in a Great Depression, but we are stressed. We are in trouble as a state. We've depended all my lifetime on 2 principal industries for our revenue and for driving our economy. That's travel and tourism and agriculture. And I'll tell you, as the next governor, I'm going to do everything I can to fill every hotel bed and every restaurant chair I possibly can. We need travel and tourism to do well. It's going to lead us out of this recession in the early stages when we do come out of it in Florida. So it's very important that industry grow well and be healthy. And I grew up on a cattle ranch. Might not be in my bio, but I did. And I understand cattle, I understand citrus, I understand strawberries, and I understand tomatoes, and I understand nurseries. And I know the importance of research and the importance of agriculture doing well in our state going forward in the future. It is a pillar of our economy. But we need to expand our state. We need to grow jobs in our state, permanent jobs, good jobs. So when we have a cycle like this, we're not hurting as bad or for as long as we are. And so the next job of the next governor, and I'm going to be that governor, I'm confident, is going to be the Chief Economic Development Officer. We need to bring businesses in and lure them to our state. We need to grow our small businesses. We need the headquarters to come here. We need the production facilities to come here. We need the capital to come here. We need to create the economic climate in order to grow those businesses. And when I say I want a future that's better for our children and grandchildren, I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the economic climate. So they'll have a job. When one of your children or grandchildren graduates from one of our fine colleges or universities and they're going to find a job, we don't want them going off to Atlanta or San Francisco, heaven help us, or Washington or wherever. But the reality is that's what too many of them are doing today. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, I have a plan that I vetted with Steve Forbes that I'm confident will create 500,000 new jobs over the next 6 years. That plan encompasses lowering the corporate and other taxes in our state. It involves common sense regulations. We've got way too many. We're not New York. We're not California. We're not New Jersey, thank goodness. But we are one of the most overregulated states in the nation. I don't know if we're number 5, as some say, or we're number 20, but we're way overregulated. We've got to always have some regulation for the environment, for public safety, for things that you and I that we think are precious. But we're way overregulated for small businesses, and we need to do something about it. And when we look around and we look at what else we need to do, we need to improve dramatically our public education system, K through 12, the state and community colleges, our university systems. We have made